So good evening, early birds. We'll start in about 2:45 seconds or so. Came on early because of the Facebook shenanigans that have been going on of late. I apologize for the picture being sort of squished this way instead of elongated. I can't seem to get out of that. It seems to be a Facebook thing. It doesn't do it anywhere else, but the world of technical excitement. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States. This is Kunchab Tarduling, the Tibet Center, a Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City and northern New Jersey, under the direction of His Eminence Chapje Ling Rinpoche, and also under the direction of Rato Khensa Tupten Lundab, also known as Geshe Nikki Vreeland, Venerable Vreeland. This is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically Lamrim Chenmo, or Stages on the Path to Enlightenment. All the prayers we say are on the website in the FAQ section. Scroll down to prayers. Any problems with the picture or sound, please text me or Mr. Smith. Okay, good. We are going out. I have no idea when we go out or not. If there's someone for whom you want us to pray for, place their names in the comments section. Tonight's, at least the first part of the class, will be dedicated to the passing of Darren's mother, Regina Smith, a great being. I'll have a few words to say, but we'll start the prayers, and we'll tag tonight's program. I'll tell you that after the prayers. Let's get the prayers started to get our minds in the right position to accept the gold, the platinum, whatever, of the teachings. Prayer for the spread of teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teaching flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living here together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the Dharma is called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And the Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this. Seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor the wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. And therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to the unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva, mahasattva, Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family. Profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. A refuge and bodhisattva vow, which we recite 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. May the teachings which are the sole medicine for suffering and the origin of every joy be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. I prostrate to Manjagosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. A prayer for the swift return of Rato Chungla Rinpoche, written by His Holiness Dalai Lama. It's on the website. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang Tubuang Dorje Chang. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guest in unsurpassed great awakening yet. You have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta, drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tenpe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. So, for the record, we will tag this program with 2 parts. The first part we'll call The Gang of 8. Gang of 8. Yeah, the 8 worldly concerns, and they're within you. Just like the Gang of 4 was in the central government. And, that's the way. And they have no other purpose but to destroy your happiness. So that's the first part. And also the second part will be the completion of chapter 16 of Lam Rim 3. We're in the inside section of the Lam Rim. But first, the whole program is actually dedicated to the good rebirth of Mrs. Regina Smith, Darren's mother. An unusual being. Darren had taken a sublease here in New Jersey so he could care for his mother in her final years. And he invited me to go up to see her. So I marched in, I brought flowers, and I put on my ego face as I entered the room, and I was stopped short. She's a presence. I felt the same way I felt when I read Ling Rinpoche's predecessor. You're not going to throw any games in front of this person. This person is unusual. She's an ordinary being to the rest of the world, but look closely. And her voice immediately, oh, a big voice that like went right through me. A wonderful person. Big smile. She raised 6 children. She took in people. She was very tolerant, although a religious Catholic. She was not judgmental. And it's where Darren gets his good character. I thought it was from hockey, but no. When I met his mother, I realized that's where his good character comes from. A blessed woman. I'm not joking. It hit me deeply to hear that she passed, but in a way, I'm not worried about her. People like that come back. Obviously, a bodhisattva. I mean, I'm not the one to judge that, but she sure acted like one. So, Darren, sorry for your mom's passing. I rejoice in her life. So we will have a reading of Shantadeva's 10th chapter in front of the Buddha on Wednesday night as a little bit of a memorial service for her. Those of you who are religious, you can pray for her for 49 days, starting last Saturday. So it's like 46 left, something like that. Who's counting? I'm glad I have a connection with him. So the sun has set, as I usually say, a Tibetan thing, but the sun rises again. Okay. So, the Gang of 8. Haha. They're very sneaky. They ride on all your wishes for yourself that you would like to have, and they just turn on you. So we're going to read from the Foundation of Buddhist Practice, this great, great book, the second volume of the soon to, I think, 10 volumes, or maybe they're going to stop at 9. The 9th is coming out the end of August. The collaboration between His Holiness Dalai Lama and Venerable Thupten Chodron. So what we'll do is I'm just going to go to the definition of the 8 worldly concerns quickly, and then I'll skip to the disadvantages of the 8 worldly concerns. I think this will help you. You don't have to have a degree from Harvard or anything to understand this, or a Geshe degree. Very good, succinct instructions from His Holiness. So this is from page 191 of the Foundation of Buddhist Practice, Volume 2 in the series of Library of Wisdom and Compassion. Page 191. Although we have such precious potential, we often fail to recognize it as human beings, that he's talking about. Or even if we do, we are often distracted and do not utilize it. Our tendency to pay more attention to gaining immediate happiness and avoiding unpleasant situations is often stronger than a clear awareness that sees the value of creating the causes for a fortunate rebirth, liberation, and awakening. That's all Buddhist students are like, we're all like that. Yeah, that's it. That's the path. But, oh, there's pizza. Oh, there's this, there's that. Yeah, enjoy the pizza, but don't give it the weight it doesn't have. His Holiness and Venerable Chodron continue. Our chief obstacles at present are subsumed in the 8 worldly concerns. 4 pairs of delight and dejection. Delight and dejection, attorneys at law, that produce attachment and anger. Delight produces attachment. Anger, dejection, frustration. We can go on. The night is young. This is the Buddha said, and this is a quote from the Anguttara Nikaya, Pali text. Gain and loss, dispute and fame, here they are, one by one. Blame and praise, pleasure and pain. These 8 worldly concerns revolve around the world, and the world revolves around these 8 worldly concerns. That's right, you've heard it here. Page 192, His Holiness goes on. Attachment arises toward one part of each pair, material or financial gain, good reputation or image, praise and approval, and pleasure, especially from sights, sounds, smells, taste, and tactile sensations. Yes, we're in the desire realm, and those things the mind chases after. Aversion arises towards the other part of each pair, lack of money and possessions, a notorious reputation, blame and criticism, discomfort and pain. I'm sure you're all acquainted with these. We don't have to introduce you, but just to be reintroduced. He continues, illustrations of these 8 abound in our daily lives. We try to arrange our lives to come in contact with attractive objects and people, tantalizing sense experiences, oh yeah, sweet ego pleasing words, money, possessions, and so forth. Yeah. We complain when these do not meet our standard, oh, or when we encounter their opposite. Being preoccupied with these eight, which center on our own happiness in only this life, key word, that's what their dominion is, this life and this life only. Only in this life, we become very reactive to our environment and the people in it. This emotional reactivity, clinging to what we like, pushing away what we don't, brings difficulties in this life and impedes the actualization of long term Dharma goals. Sounds good? That's the basic description and the method of operation of the eight worldly concerns and how we react to them. So, what's wrong with them? Well, page 197. The disadvantages of the eight worldly concerns, and I'm going to check the time because I don't want to run out of. Okay, we got plenty. When we speak of Dharma as distinct from non Dharma, the line of demarcation is the presence or absence of the eight worldly concerns. That's big. So, this is an easy way to categorize our motivations before we start anything, or just get the habit of always watching for these things. So, His Holiness continues, if our action is motivated by attachment to only the happiness of this life, it is considered non-Dharma. Actions motivated by the aspiration to have a fortunate rebirth or attain liberation or to attain Buddhahood are Dharma actions. Motivation, motivation, motivation. This does not mean that secular people or those of other religions do not create virtue. Anyone can refrain from harming others, cultivate a kind heart, and create merit through their generosity, forgiveness, and compassion, which Regina Smith certainly personified. In the Pali Canon, Anguttara Nikaya 8.6, you want to look it up, it's the Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. The Buddha explains that the eight worldly concerns are encountered by both uninstructed worldly people and by knowledgeable Aryas, who've had a direct realization of emptiness. But there is a big difference between how these two groups respond. When ordinary people receive gain, fame, praise, and pleasure, they do not reflect on these as being impermanent and subject to change. They do not know them as they are in reality. Think about us. You got a promotion, you got this, you got that. Somebody praises you. Huh? So these are meant to be really brought home. Instead, ordinary beings are delighted and their common sense is swept away by elation. Oh, yeah. When they meet with the opposite of these four, loss, disrepute, blame, and unpleasant sensations, they become dejected. Obsessed with their likes and dislikes, they continue to revolve in cyclic existence with its birth, aging, sickness, and death, and to be tormented by pain, grief, and despair. That's the nature of samsara. So, the whole Buddhist path is right here. So, he continues, their minds are never peaceful, as they desperately try to procure everything that appears to bring them happiness and vehemently reject the reality of painful situations. When instructed Aryas come upon these concerns, the Aryas of direct realization of emptiness, background in Buddhism, etc., when they come upon these concerns, and of course they do, however, they understand the four pleasant ones to be transient and changing. Understanding them as they really are, impermanent, unable to provide lasting happiness, and lacking their own independent essence. So their minds remain balanced. That doesn't mean they reject them, they enjoy this and that, but with a certain mental posture that we have to develop. Then there won't be the longing for the repeat of this pleasure or that, and the disappointment when it's not there, etc., and so forth, which we all have experienced. This we don't have to learn. This we know. They do not become upset when loss, blame, disrepute, and unpleasant, let me move the marker, unpleasant sensations come their way. Giving up attachment to likes and aversion to dislikes, they seek a higher happiness, that of liberation, and create the cause to be free from cyclic existence. Speaking of the eight worldly concerns, the Buddha observes in the Anguttara Nikaya, and this is a quote from the Pali Canon, eight lines. The wise and mindful person knows them and sees that they are subject to change. Desirable conditions don't excite his or her mind, nor is he or she repelled by undesirable conditions. He or she has dispelled attraction and repulsion. They are gone and no longer present. Having known the dustless, sorrowless state, he or she, they understand rightly and has transcended cyclic existence. I'm playing with the pronouns. I should read it as it is. But so that's what we have to develop, that flexibility in our mind. Of course, we're going to be upset when things don't go on. That's going to happen, of course. It's not going to happen overnight that we change. Bear it in mind. That's all. And you'll find with a little of this, going over this, even lightly, the edge is taken out of a lot of unpleasant situations. You really have a better, stronger posture. The eight worldly concerns, His Holiness continues on page 198, concerns center around attachment to the pleasures of just this life. While this life is important, clinging to its pleasures is problematic. The Buddha does not say that pleasure is bad or evil. Pleasure is what it is, a nice experience that lasts a short while. That's it. We want it to last longer. It is fine to enjoy the good things we encounter, but becoming attached to them is another matter, because the attachment and the aversion that arises when we cannot get what we like, hint, hint, causes problems in this and future lives and distracts us from fulfilling our spiritual yearnings. For this reason, the seventh Dalai Lama has said, Lozanke Sangyatso, fantasies about material objects and the winds of tendencies towards the eight worldly concerns are completely misleading. Because of clinging to things that give only temporary fulfillment, at death, one is weighed down with the pain of a mind empty of virtue. Seventh Dalai Lama, wonderful, wonderful poet, as you know. He's been on our program several times now. His Holiness continues. The fourth Panchen Lama, Losang Chuki Jalsen, said true practitioners of Mahamudra see that the eight worldly concerns are like dramas of madness and prefer solitude. Quote, solitude, meaning separating the mind from ignorance, animosity, and attachment. That's what he meant by solitude. He's using the word poetically. Separating the mind from ignorance, animosity, and attachment. The three poisons, attachment, aversion, and ignorance. There they are, nicely trotted out for our inspection. You can find them in your own mind. I find them in mine all the time. Anyway, okay. In our attempts to obtain the four factors that superficially seem to bring happiness in only this life, and to distance ourselves from the four undesirable ones, we create a great deal of negative karma. You hear that, Babette? Negative karma. To protect us, so that's what happens. We're fighting them, and then we put seeds in our mind that are going to bring us trouble. Can't get out of that. To protect our reputation, we talk behind others' backs. To get more money, we cheat others or get involved in illegal business dealings. To win someone's approval or praise, we lie, hiding our mistakes and making up success that we lack. In the long run, due to functioning of karma and effects, these actions bring suffering on us. Have you seen these play out? Of course we have. Although seeking the eight worldly concerns seems to bring us happiness superficially, in the long term, it brings more misery. The eight worldly concerns make our viewpoint very narrow and self-centered. We become blind to karma and its effects and ignore the need to create the causes for well-being in future lives. Aspiring to liberation or awakening is far from our mind under the sway of them. The eight worldly concerns obstruct us from genuine Dharma practice. Most of our distractions in meditation involve the eight worldly concerns. When our mind wanders while listening to teaching, our attention has strayed to one of these eight. We postpone positive deeds such as generosity or helping others because our time is occupied with these eight, the gang of eight. For those reasons, Dharma practitioners are warned about seeking the temporary happiness of only this life. not because it is bad or, quote, sinful, but because it impedes us from actualizing the spiritual realizations that will bring long-term happiness. Attachments to the pleasures of only this life breeds dissatisfaction. However much we have, it's not enough. Even wealthy people don't feel satisfied with what they have. No matter how much our loved ones praise us, we still want more. We long for another reward, trophy, or public acknowledgement of what we have accomplished. True satisfaction eludes us. I think you're getting the picture. I mean, nicely stated here. Wonderful writing. When, His Holiness continues, when we have worldly success, we easily become arrogant and haughty, flaunting our success and ignoring the needs of others. We've seen this we've seen this in Dharma centers, unfortunately. Therefore, mind training texts say that it is better to meet difficulties, for they make us humble and more compassionate. Difficulties flatten our haughtiness, and we learn to respect the concerns and feelings of others. Difficulties also deepen our refuge in the three jewels and spur us to be mindful of karma and its effects. The benefits of suffering, right here, laid out succinctly. Giving up attachment to the pleasures of only this life and the 8 worldly concerns does not mean that we neglect ourselves and become a pauper. Some people make a big display of having renounced the world, but remain attached to their reputation as a renunciate. I've renounced the world and run around it. We've also seen this play out in some Dharma centers, haven't we? Those of us who are like really old, like me. So he continues on page 200. We need a certain amount of possessions and financial support to function in society. Yeah, be real. Having wise friends and maintaining our health facilitates Dharma practice. Problems arise when we are attached to these and seek them to the exclusion of all else. I remember Rinpoche saying, some people can complain about these lamas. They live in luxurious villas in the south of India. But he said, that's fine if they're not attached. If they're attached, it's terrible. But if they're really good practitioners, not attached, it's just their comfort. And, of course, they know they're giving it up when they die. So it's the mental attitude that makes the difference, not the externals. And we all know this. He continues, second paragraph, page 200. Relinquishing attachment and aversion does not entail having a dull and boring life. Rather, our life becomes fuller because being free from the push and pull of delight and dejection, we are able to appreciate whatever comes our way instead of thinking, I can only be happy when I'm near this one special person. We become more open and enjoy the company of many others. That's right. These things grab our mind and make us obsessive, make us stupid, make us nervous. We can go on. Let me go on. No, I'm not. Holiness said, middle of 200. In brief, the problem does not rest in the experience of pleasure or the objects that seem to bring pleasure. That's not where the problem is. It is clinging to the pleasure that is the troublemaker. Buddha says in the Anguttara Nikaya, they are not sensual pleasures, the pretty things in the world. A person's sensual pleasure is lustful intention. The pretty things remain just as they are in the world, but the wise remove the desire from them. The desire is coming out of you. The obsession's coming out of you. The thing is there. The person you're hot for is there. But what's going on with you? So we answer these questions to ourselves, or we don't bother. We do something else to distract us. The Inquiry of Ugra Sutra, the Ugra Parapricha Sutra, in that, the Buddha gives excellent guidance on how to deal with our addiction to the 8 worldly concerns. I like the word addiction there. Buddha says, being free of attachment and aversion, the bodhisattva should attain equanimity with respect to the 8 worldly concerns. If he or she succeeds in obtaining wealth or a spouse or children or valuables or produce, he should not become arrogant or overjoyed. If he fails to obtain all these things, he should not be downcast or distressed. Rather, he should reflect as follows. All conditioned things are illusory and are marked by involvement in fabrication. Marked by involvement in fabrication. We're projecting. We study emptiness for that reason. Get rid of the fabrication. Thus, my father and mother, children, spouse, employees, friends, companions, kinfolks, and relatives, all are the result of the ripening of actions. They are not mine, and I am not theirs. Whatever we have comes from our past actions. That's it. And why? Because my father, mother, and so on are not my protector, refuge, resort, place of rest, island, self, or what belongs to the self. If even my own perishable aggregate sense sources, cognitive faculties, and their objects are not me or mine, how much less are my father, mother, and so on me or mine, or I theirs? And why? Because I am subject to my action and heir to my actions. I will inherit the results of whatever I have done, whatever good deeds or bad. I will taste the fruit of every one of them and will experience the ripening of each one. Because these people are also subject to their actions and heir to their actions, they too will inherit the results of whatever they have done, whether good deeds or bad. All causes and conditions. Whatever happens to you, you caused, good or bad. Karma is running the show. The law of cause and effect is always in effect. It's always in operation. Anyway, His Holiness continues. They will experience the ripening of every one of them and will taste the fruit of each one. Ego doesn't think that way, by the way. Ego thinks, I created this, I did that, and your past action did this and that. So think that way. It is not my business to accumulate non-virtuous deeds for their sake. All of them are a source of pleasure now, but they will not be a source of pleasure later on. It's samsara, everything's fickle. Instead, I should devote myself to what is really mine, to the virtues of generosity, discipline, self-restraint, fortitude, good character, exertion, vigilance, and the accumulation and production of the 7 awakening factors. That is what is actually mine. Wherever I may go, these qualities will go with me. Sounds a lot like the Bodhisattva path. So that's the Pali text. Regular Mahayana text, Inquiry of the Urga Sutra. Using our human intelligence, His Holiness goes on page 201, to accomplish long-term benefit for ourselves is valuable, whereas focusing on just our own short-term interest is limited. Even business people who are non-believers know that being short-sighted and impatient is a disadvantage to achieving their goals. If this is true for obtaining good results in this life, it is even truer for actualizing our spiritual goals. Thus, when we experience suffering and are deprived of sensory pleasures, wealth, praise, and fame, we should maintain a long-term perspective and practice fortitude so that we can tolerate these temporary situations in cyclic existence. A terrible job, etc., and so forth. Horrible living place, etc. We have to tolerate it. That's it. Why add it, make it worse? Mm-hmm. Such fortitude maintains our spiritual resolve without feeling defeated or upset no matter what we encounter. But when we are focused only on our immediate happiness and benefit, we are perpetually dissatisfied and create much destructive karma. Really no choice. Our precious human life, His Holiness goes on, presents us with great opportunities. If we use our energy only to get delicious food, attractive clothing, a good income, a great reputation, and popularity, we waste our human potential. Using our human intelligence to improve only our external situation, but not the state of our mind and heart, does not do justice to our extraordinary intelligence. Simply helping our friends and harming our enemies wastes our human potential and does nothing to distinguish us from animals who also care for their dear ones and harm those who threaten them. We must not limit our human life to just these activities. Spending our lives striving only for the 8 worldly concerns leaves us regretful at the end of our lives. For none of these is of any use to us at the time of death or afterward. We regret wasting a little money, but we should regret even more wasting our lives seeking only comfort, prestige, romantic love, and so forth. And you're going to get a lot of that anyway. So, you get some. Don't worry about it. He continues, still on page 202 now. What then can human beings do that animals and insects cannot do? We can transform, discipline, and train our minds and hearts. We can understand teachings on ethical conduct and the method to cultivate love and compassion. We can realize the nature of reality, which will liberate us from all dukkha. Channeling our energy into actualizing our peerless potential is truly worthwhile. That's what we're here for. Each sentient being wants happiness. A worldly perspective leads us to believe that it is found by possessing certain things, being close to specific people, gaining acceptance and reputation. Get into politics, you want that. You see how far that gets you. A Dharma perspective proposes seeking happiness in transforming our mind and heart and cultivating our wisdom and good heart. Dharma practitioners seek happiness in a more reliable way by expanding our motivation to include the long-term welfare of all sentient beings. The Buddha speaks of the joy and sincere practice, the joy rather, a sincere practitioner derives from Dharma practice in the Mahajjhima Nikaya. He says, by living ethically, he experiences with himself a bliss that is blameless. Living an ethical life enables us to be free from guilt and remorse and to feel good about our actions. By restraining the sense faculties so that the mind is not continuously running here and there in search of temporary pleasure, he experiences within himself a bliss that is unsullied, that arises from acting with mindfulness and introspective awareness. Not just pleasure, bliss, use that term. Something else is going on. We're not aware that it even exists, unless you're a good practitioner. Look, it's time to look into it. By cultivating contentment, we experience the internal peace of accepting ourselves. The practice of bodhicitta opens our hearts with love and compassion toward all beings, producing great joy in the mind. By acting for the benefit of others, we gain the satisfaction of making a positive contribution to the welfare of others. The practice of stabilizing meditation leads to the attainment of higher states of concentration. The joy and bliss that arise in them are free from attachment to the desire realm and invigorate the mind. Realizing, it's on page 203 now, the final paragraph. Realizing the true nature of all phenomena and integrating it in our lives brings a peace that cannot be destroyed. There it is, eternal peace. The union of clear light mind and illusory body in tantric practice produces the magnificent bliss of full awakening. Here's the whole path from ground zero to tantric practice. The union of clear light mind and illusory body in tantric practice produces the magnificent bliss of full awakening, Buddhahood. The Buddha spoke of giving up attachment to the pleasures of this life in order to lead us on the path to more stable and profound states of fulfillment that can be actualized only by Dharma practice. Sentient beings naturally seek happiness, and there is nothing wrong with having it. We want to free ourselves from attachment to inferior states of happiness that are in the nature of dukkha. Rather than seek situations and things that at first appear wonderful but eventually become troublesome, it is wiser to generate spiritual happiness that is based on more stable, realistic, and beneficial states of mind. So, bear it in mind. You can replay this little, I just read word for word. So, or else get all this book. It's very good. I understand it's also an ebook, someone told me. So if you don't like carrying around paper, just put it on your phone or whatever, whatever your device. The big word, your device. How much time do we have to wrap up this? Okay, we got 20 minutes or so. 24 minutes to be exact. We return to the last part of chapter 16, Geshe Sopa's commentary. And I did mark the page, and here it is, right on it. This is Geshe Sopa's commentary on the last part of the LAM, his volume 5. It's entitled Insight. So we're talking about the nature of things, and they're going to come up with some technical stuff. Bear with it. It's important to try and understand it, at least hear it at first, let it roll into the mind. Our subconscious picks all these things up, and later life, or maybe later in this life, you start reading, oh yeah, it makes sense. At least I found that to happen over many years. A little bit. Anyway, middle of page 245. A questioner asks, now they're questioning back and forth about, you said nature of this, wait a minute, you said it's not created, wait, everything's dependent on this, wait, what's going on? Geshe Sopa will now unfold the meaning. A questioner asks, earlier, did you not disapprove that all phenomena exist by their own nature? Tsong-kha-pa replies, well, did we not already say many times that phenomena, without being imputed by the mind, do not have even the tiniest atom of an inherently established nature? So you put two together there. Imputing by the mind creates this inherent existence. We impute inherent existence. Okay? So why bother to mention other phenomena that have no such nature? Even shunyata is not truly or ultimately established in the slightest. Shunyata is empty. Ultimate reality is ultimate, true, and its own nature. However, it does not exist by its own nature. In other words, shunyata is existent. It is the highest nature, the final truth, and the nature of all phenomena. However, even shunyata, or emptiness, does not exist inherently. Chandra Kirti's clear words says, and Prasanapada, they call that in Sanskrit. Chandrakirti says, just as in the three times, the nature of fire does not alter, past, present, and future, he means by it. It's always the same way. The ever-abiding nature of all things is something not fabricated. It is not something that occurs later from what did not occur before, like the heat of water, or here and there, or long and short. In other words, not a comparative reality. It is not something that has any dependence on causes and conditions. That is what is meant by, quote, final nature. Does such a nature of fire exist? It does not exist by its own nature, but it is not non-existent. Try and think about this and let it roll. If you don't go to confusion right away, hear the rest of it. Although it is like that, we say it exists conventionally, having been superimposed so as to remove the fear of those who are listening. The term ever-abiding nature, Geshe-Sopa comments now, and this is a good one, is often used in Tantra and the Nyingma tradition to mean the natural innate mind, which is continuously present. Yes, our deep down awareness is always there, cannot be destroyed, will always be there. That's what we have to tap into. Here, Chandrakirti uses it to describe the final nature of things. A different way of it. The ever-abiding final nature is not created. You say cause, not created. Unlike the temperature of water, is not dependent on causes and conditions. The final nature is not dependent on comparison, such as this side and that side, or here and there. That side of the room, the side opposite from where we are standing, becomes this side of the room if we walk over there. All right? This side and that side change dependent on its relation to where we are. Similarly, long and short are mutually comparative. In contrast, everything has an ever-abiding nature. This nature exists, but it does not exist inherently, or by its own nature. Okay? He continues, page 246. So how does this final nature exist if not inherently? If you're confused now, that's good, because we really default to inherent existence all the time. It doesn't make sense. It's got to be the way I listen in. Some people listening to this explanation may think that if things do not exist inherently, then they're totally non-existent. Since they do not understand the true nature of reality, they risk annihilating everything, cause and effect, the Four Noble Truths, and all phenomena in samsara nirvana. The thought that all things are not inherently existent makes them fearful. Okay, get used to it. Nothing to be afraid of. In order to remove their fear, they are taught that even though things do not exist inherently, they exist conventionally in that they are imputed by thought and language under the influence of ignorance. Even the final nature shunyata is said to exist only conventionally. The emptiness of emptiness. The questioner protests. Why doesn't he shut up? Now, the questioner protests. Chandrakirti did not explain that it exists. He explains that, having been superimposed, this is taught in order to remove the fear of the listeners. Tsong-kha-pa replies that it is incorrect to think that, therefore, the final nature does not exist. This is because other phenomena, having been imputed, are taught to exist for the same purpose, so that ordinary beings who do not understand shunyata may abandon their fear, in which case these other phenomena would also turn out to be non-existent. Everything is that way. We see everything as inherently existent, but they exist conventionally. You should put that thought in your mind. This is leading you to a deeper realization, the way they're speaking. Thus, to say that the ultimate nature is taught in accordance with how things are imputed by thought and terminology does not mean that it does not exist. If it did mean that the final nature was non-existent, it would apply not only to shunyata but to all other phenomena as well. In that case, a bodhisattva's practice of the perfections would be purposeless. Explaining this fault, Chandrakirti demonstrates that it cannot be totally non-existent. It's not existent the way you think they are, that's all. And we don't have the flexibility yet to understand that there's another mode of being besides inherent existence, the ultimate mode of being. That's the way I look at it. Maybe I'm confusing you more, but anyway, you have to work your way through this. Take your time. Also, the commentary in the introduction to the middle way, in the commentary on the introduction to the middle way, Chandrakirti says, this nature is accepted not only by Nagarjuna, but others can arrive at accepting it too. Thus, this nature is finally established to exist by both parties. You get around to it. Otherwise, if the early Madhyamikas' interpretations of Chandrakirti were correct in claiming that the ultimate nature doesn't exist, then we would have to accept that within the Madhyamika system, it's impossible to attain liberation. That's all. Why? When one attains nirvana, one has a direct experience of liberation. Nirvana is said to be the truth of cessation. What is that? The permanent aspect of absence, the permanent absence, lack, of all the mental afflictions and their seeds, which have been removed gradually by the paths of seeing and meditation. The fourth and fifth, the third, fourth paths. The fifth path is no more learning. So 247 different interpretations of true cessation. Let me check the time to see how much time I'm going to spend on this. There's a big debate. Is a true cessation emptiness or not? And it goes on. Briefly, the school that says it's not because the cessations are removing things that were there. Realization of emptiness removes something that was never there, inherent existence. Well, it was never there in the first place, just realizing that it was never there. But your afflictions, they were there. Not there inherently, but they were there. So there's debate on it. What do we care? We have to get used to the words now and, train our minds and stay away from the gang of 8. Told you, don't hang out with them. Like I do. Anyway, different interpretation of true cessation. There's a little nerding out here, but it won't hurt you. There is some debate about what cessation means here, which we already touched on in chapter 3, and I already forgot it. So, according to one interpretation, this true cessation is the ultimate nature or ultimate truth. It is shunyata. In that case, if ultimate truth did not exist, then true cessation and nirvana would not exist. Thus, it would be impossible to attain nirvana because it would not exist. All right. Clearly, outcome is unacceptable, and its premise that the ultimate nature does not exist is disproved below, of course. According to another interpretation, true cessation is not ultimate truth. That's what I was alluding to. Ultimate truth refers to shunyata. Shunyata is the mere absence of the object of negation, which is true existence or inherent existence, right? Thus, ultimate truth refers to the mere absence of inherent existence. In contrast, cessation refers not to the absence of true existence, but to the absence of the mental afflictions and obstructions that have been abandoned by the paths of seeing and meditation. Different things negated. Things that were really there, although not inherently, they were there. And inherent existence was never there. So you get the idea of the argument. The Venerable Tsong-kha-pa carries this argument on in her long podcast on the Buddhist tenets. Excellent teaching. I mean, she's another one from another planet, to bless our hearts. Wonderful. She has a nice description of it and very casually lays it out. So the attention is invited to the podcast on the tenets, TENETS, 4 schools of Buddhism. Venerable Tsong-kha-pa from Shravastihadi. Kathleen McDonald was the name that she wrote a book on meditation under. So there are 2 kinds of obstructions or stains, the natural obstruction and temporary obstructions. Geshe Sopa says, the natural obstruction is inherent existence, which in fact is non-existent. Everything is pure of that natural obstruction. It wasn't there, and we don't know that, but it's not even there. Okay? We do not have to purify anything in order to be rid of it. We just have to understand it. Maitreya says in the Sublime Continuum, or the Uttara Tantra, regarding this, there's nothing at all to be removed, nor the slightest thing to be added. It wasn't there to start with, guys. That's it. Hard for us to understand that, but although everything is free, Geshe Sopa goes on, of the natural obstruction from the very beginning, temporary obstructions arise from causes and conditions. They are the mental afflictions, ignorance, attachment, and so on, which must be purified. A true cessation is the permanent end of any of these afflictions, with their seeds, through the power of supreme wisdom. That's right, not just suppressed, but out through the power of a strong realization, direct, not conceptual, of emptiness. So how can true cessation be shunyata? To understand this question, let us look at an example. This is a good one, by the way, and we'll end on this. Because there is no elephant in this room, oh, wait a minute, there might be. There's a cat, okay. There is the emptiness of elephant, right? Is that shunyata? You could say that the emptiness of inherently existent elephant is shunyata, but that's not the primary object of negation in this example. We're not talking about the mode of being of an elephant. The object of negation is an elephant itself. Is there an elephant here? Anybody? Who brought an elephant? We are negating the existence of an elephant. The mere lack of an elephant is not shunyata. Okay? Similarly, the mere lack of certain mental afflictions is not shunyata. That's Geshe Sopa's point. So, how could the permanent cessation of the afflictions be the ultimate truth? It must be a conventional truth. And then he says nicely and gives it to us, this is something you can debate. Oh, yeah, that's what we can do. Chandrakirti, I'll read one more paragraph. Chandrakirti, in his commentary on the 60 stanzas of reasoning, makes a great effort to prove that when one attains nirvana, one directly experiences the ultimate truth of cessation. I think this refers to the mind being naturally empty of inherent nature from the very beginning. The emptiness of inherent nature is not created, it always exists. We are empty of inherent existence. We are in emptiness, so to speak, and that you want to talk about, but we don't know it. The emptiness of inherent nature of the mind is a natural purity possessed by everyone, even though within our mind streams there may be many mental afflictions and obstructions to be removed. The nature of the mind is naturally pure. It is innately free from the obstruction of inherent existence. Based on that purity, we can enter the bodhisattva path and progress through the 10 stages, removing specific obstructions on each level. When we initially become an Arya, the first moment of the direct realization of shunyata in meditation is an uninterrupted path. In other words, it's going to fulfillment. An uninterrupted path is like a war, it is like a battle against an enemy. In meditating on shunyata, we are trying to annihilate obstructions. Eventually, the force of one's realization of emptiness becomes more powerful, and the mental afflictions that it opposes are destroyed and never able to arise again. At this point, a special kind of confidence arises, and the very next moment of meditation is a path of liberation, sometimes called path of release. I think the current vogue now is to use path of liberation. So we'll end it at that, and I won't continue with the rest of this commentary because we have to move on to chapter 17. But it's well worth you looking into the rest of a few more pages left. Very good information. Can't fast read it. There's a copy in the Tibetan on the second floor for your examination and your ultimate delight. Hold on, I just lost the picture. Come back. Okay, let me see. For whom will we pray? Of course, for Regina Smith, Darren's mom, a great, great, great being. Saw through my ex right away. Yeah, Bulla Bulla. Stormy Monday. Okay, so we'll pray for the recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. For you, Regina, Mrs. Smith, and for all those who have passed in the wars, in poverty, in capsized boats. Welcome to Samsara. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavata, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit, does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavat who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms, this alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. And now prayer for the flourishing of Tsong-kha-pa's teachings, also a praise of Tsong-kha-pa, suggested by His Holiness as a cause for the quick return of Rafa Chungwa Rinpoche. It's on our website. Though he is the father, producer of all conquerors, as a conqueror's son, he produced the thought of upholding the conqueror's Dharma in infinite worlds. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. When of yore in the presence of Buddha in Driketo, he made his vow, the conqueror and his offspring praised his powerful courage. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. That the lineage of pure view and conduct might spread, he offered a white crystal rosary to the sage, who gave him a conch and prophesied. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. His pure view free of eternity or destruction. His pure meditation cleansed of dark fading and fog. His pure conduct practiced according to the conqueror's orders. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Learned since he extensively sought out learning. Reverent, rightly applying it to himself. Good, dedicating all for beings and the doctrine. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Through being sure that all scriptures, definitive and interpretive, were without contradiction, advice for one person's practice, he stopped all misconduct. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Listening to explanation of the three Pitakas, realized teachings, practices of the three trainings, his skilled and accomplished life story is amazing. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Outwardly calmed and subdued by the hearer's conduct, inwardly trusting in the two stages practice, he allied without clash the good paths of Sutra and Tantra. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Combining voidness explained as the causal vehicle with great bliss achieved by method, the effect vehicle. Heart essence of 80,000 Dharma bundles, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. By the power of the ocean of oath-bound doctrine protectors, like the main guardians of the three beings' paths, the quick-acting Lord Vaishravana Karmayama, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish in short. By the lasting of glorious gurus' lives, by the earth being full of good, learned, reverent holders of the teaching, and by the increase of power of its patrons, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. So 8 verses on training the mind. Are we missing? Did we go out? What's the message? I hope I'm still on. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. Our next class will be Wednesday, June 28th, our last class in June. And we will then, as advertised, have a recitation of the 10th chapter of Shanti Deva's book in honor of Mrs. Smith. Thank you all for your kind, patient listening to a very detailed and difficult topic. And if you can, say a prayer for Gina Smith, even if you don't ordinarily pray. Try something. So, big love to all of you. Stay safe. Take care.